Welcome to Thriving Tribesmen. My name is Kuri, your host, and I'm excited to be making this episode. I know there's a bit of background noise. I'm walking away from it. It's the motorway, but you're with me as I walk. I'm doing some training. I've got a weighted vest on, so I thought I'd just walk outside because it's nice, and I'm a little bit out of breath trying to make a podcast. But anyways, there was a question that I wanted to answer, and there was how much effort do you need to put in order to change a sexless relationship, and really how long does it take to change one? And I think I've answered the how long it takes. I think usually I would say about 2 weeks, and within those 2 weeks you would have had to really change a lot of the ways you view sex and the way you in fact you have to unlearn quite a lot of things that you think you know about sex and relationship and marriages. And the quicker you can accept those, the quicker the things will change. Most people that I coach and still struggle, usually it's because when it's time to unlearn stuff, it's a very difficult experience and they won't put themselves in a difficult scenario. But the biggest one out of all of them, it always comes down to the effort that you're putting in. And usually there's this emphasis on I've been rejected sexually, I would like to have some more sex, and I would like to have more sex within my relationship. So therefore, in order to get it, I'm going to increase my level of effort to getting more sex. And that's probably the definition of insanity on its own, because it's just repeating the same action, hoping for a different result. So again, it always comes then down to where's my effort and where do I place my effort? And usually it's really about not really putting any effort whatsoever into sex, because it's kind of like that carnival game, the one that when you hit the base of the machine, it shoots up this metal piece and then it rings a bell. So if you've ever played it before, I think in the UK we call it the fun fair. When you hit it the first time and it doesn't hit the bell, normally the next hit that you do, you steady your feet, you make sure that you're not going to fall if you go as hard as you can, and then you go even harder. And generally it's either you hit the bell or you just miss it by a little bit, and therefore if you've got 5 tries, with each effort that you go trying to hit the bell, the harder you go. And this is the sort of mindset that most people take towards wanting to have more sex within a relationship, especially when it's sexless and there's been countless amount of rejections. With each rejection, you feel like you have to increase your intensity on the seduction. You need to be overly too nice, and you do all these things in order to really make things happen. But really it works counterintuitive, because the more effort that you put in, it is sub-communicating. What that means, it communicates to that person that you don't value yourself sexually, and the fact that you're so dependent on sex being the thing that connects you, the two of you. It actually sometimes puts fear in them, because they think, well, if I underperform, does that mean that I'm a bad wife? Does that mean I'm a bad girlfriend? So there's all sorts of things that you can look from her perspective, or, am I, and I think you guys have heard this one before, am I only good for sex? And because you're sub-communicating things that are to do with putting more effort, and that's why it works against you. And even when you talk about it, even if you haven't had sex for 6 months, she will still say, is sex all you want? Because every action that you are taking is determined, or at least has got this ulterior motive to eventually get sex. And she knows it, she feels it. And this is why when you emphasize on actually having more sex when she's already rejected sex, it's becomes so it creates this loop where you're now going to continuously being rejected. And when you do have sex, it's normally PT sex, where she just feels like, okay, you've groveled long enough, I'm just going to give you something. And again, for me, that's probably worse than rejection. I hate there's been several times when that's happened in my relationship where I've had pity sex and it was more soul crushing than being rejected. I would have taken 1,000 rejections compared to pity sex. So again, it becomes very important to understand this piece, and in order to actually change it, and what's the effort that's required to change it, it always comes down to you letting go of the whole entire thing about sex. I think by actually accepting that this is where you are, and then refocusing your energy on what it means to have a positive relationship where you're both happy, and what makes you happy, what makes her happy. And again, it's more important that you discover what makes you happy. Because I think without, I had a question once that I asked the client. I said, what if for some weird reason she woke up and she didn't have a pussy anymore? I mean, what does that mean to you? Does that mean that's the end of your life, your marriage, or anything like that? I said, no. And then said, why? And then she's a good mom. She's mentioned all these other things, good traits. She's a good mom. She's great at this. She's funny. I said, why don't you explore that? And if you can explore that and really start figuring out what makes you happy without the sex, essentially it actually then puts direct focus to sex. Because again, like I said, the quicker you unlearn that sex isn't the thing that makes you feel connected, you actually realize that it gives you that opportunity to then connect on other levels. And as you connect on those other levels, it creates this positive experience towards sex. Because if you've already been rejected for many times, there's this negativity that's surrounding the sex and the pursuit of sex, that when you do introduce it puts her back into that zone where she feels like, oh shit, it's happening again. And instead of really being responsive to what you're doing, it's more of, how do I get out of this place? And this is what is happening. This is why it continues happening. So the quicker you can unlearn the fact that you don't need sex. I mean, we all need sex. We all want to have sex. We all desire to, and we all want that connection. We all want to feel wanted. But for you to actually experience that, you have to let go of the actual outcome. And it's easier said than done. And I know some of you guys will need help with this. We've got a free custom seduction blueprint that we're offering, where you come to a call, and by getting onto the call, we talk about your relationship, where you are, what you've tried. And once you get a picture of what's going on, then we'll create for you a seduction plan. And this seduction plan, you take it and you go and implement it. We'll give you an opportunity to come to a second call. If you don't want to, that's perfectly fine. You go with the plan and you go and execute it. But some of you guys might want help executing it, might want accountability, and therefore you can come for the second call, and then we can talk you through what it's like to be within the Reignited Men program. So again, like I said, it's no high pressure sale. So even if you come for the second one and you just wanted to tweak a few things, and we might not even offer you the opportunity to come onto the Reignited Men. But again, if we did offer you, it would be the opportunity for you to really do this in a speedy way, where you have got accountability. This is exactly what you should be doing. Remove your effort from this thing because this is not serving you. So this is what you end up getting. So thank you very much for listening and getting, because I thought I need to answer this question before I forget. And also for you to get the details on the custom blueprint, go and join our Facebook group, Thriving Tribesmen. And when you join the Facebook group, there's already links on the featured posts where you can either get a guide for the 3 things that you need to do in order to change your sexless relationship, and also there's a link to go and join to our calendar so you can book in your custom blueprint strategy session. So thank you very much. I'll be speaking to you soon. Take care.